Hey guys, Tarke here, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. I haven't really been playing much Path of Exile, so instead what we're going to do is we're just going to run some maps, and I'm going to tell some funny IRL stories, which will also explain why I haven't been playing much Path of Exile recently, and it's kind of going to be like a stream in a video, just a chill, hangout sort of vibe, and hopefully have fun. So, why haven't I been playing much Path of Exile recently? I am going to recant the last couple of days. So, today is Saturday the 30th. Happy Halloween for Halloween people, by the way. Americans take that stuff pretty seriously. We are kind of whatever about it in the UK, but anyway. Happy Halloween. So on Wednesday, I had my third COVID vaccine. Because I'm on immune suppressants, I have to get like boosters and everything, blah, 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 blah. And I felt a bit rough, but like not too bad. I felt fine after the first one. The second one had me like oomp. The third one, I just kind of felt woozy, very woozy, but I wasn't too bad. So my mum's been having a lot of building work happening on our house at the moment. And she's only got one builder who's doing all the work. There's a whole like pandemic. It's very difficult to find tradesmen. So over the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of me getting a random text like, hey, Jake. I don't know why, for some reason, she insists on calling me Jake. It's a weird thing. I don't know. She started doing it when I was like born or something. Anyway, side tangent. So, she's like, hey, Jake, can you come help move some stuff? Like, I'm dying. We've got this stuff that needs, like, dealing with. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. Because, like, what am I going to do? But, like, no. You know? Go on. So... what she didn't tell me is like the things that needed moving were basically these giant stone slabs, which were the old foundations of a house that she just decided to keep because that's the kind of person that she is. And they'd just been resting on the side, like the outside wall of her house. And anyone who knows anything about like architecture or building could maybe see the problem of just leaving giant stones directly leaning up against a wall for like 20 years. Water obviously had built up and pooled, and it had been like rising damp in the foundations, and because they were getting all this work done and digging up floors, they realized, oh, there's a massive damp problem, probably because they've got all this stuff leaning up against the side of the house. So it's like, it needs moving. We're getting damp people to come, and they need to assess it, so the wall has to be clear so they can work out what the next thing is. So I'm like, okay, fine. So the problem is these like giant old stone foundations. Stone in general is generally relatively heavy. And basically what happened is it's like, hey, so I have this dude whose like job it is to do physical labor every single day of his life. Really big, strapping, like guys built. Yeah, he can't do this. So you, clearly, with your physique, you know, you can help. you can if you can't do it yourself, you can at least help carry the burden, sort of thing. So me and this builder are kind of looking at each other like 7-foot solid stone slab, about a foot wide, like okay. So we managed to move one, and it had to get moved about like probably about 15-20 feet, and it had to be like lifted over a half wall as well. So we had to like, we had to like get it up, and we managed it between the two of us, but it like damn near killed us, sort of thing. And there were two of these, and we were like, oh, can we do the second one? He's kind of like, look, I just want to get this done today, because like I just want to get this job done. I haven't got it in me, but like, if you feel like you can do it, Jake, for some reason he also insists on calling me that, then we could try, like, if we can at least just get it away from the wall. But the problem is that they're sloped, like slanted, and this second one was upside down, so we couldn't get a proper grip on it, so we had to flip it. So it's like, okay, if we pick it up and we turn it, we can flip it, and then we can get like a proper purchase on the thing, and we can move it. Fortunately, I don't, like, I'm not a religious person, but, praise whoever was involved on that one. Or maybe just like an angry squirrel. When we heaved this thing up to flip it, it snapped in half. And just as a general rule of thumb, a 7-foot stone slab is heavier than a 3.5-foot stone slab. So when it was split in half, it was still heavy, but at least it was kind of like manageable. So we then we moved the 2 halves away from the wall. My mum was less pleased for whatever reason. Like both me and Dave, that's the builder, we were like, oh, this is a godsend that this cracked in half. She was more kind of like, I cannot believe you've like. Can I pick up this map? She was slightly more, you know, put out by the situation. Anyway, we moved the thing, and I helped move around a few other little things, bits and bobs and whatever. And then my mum, in all of her wisdom, she's a very compassionate and caring woman. She's like, oh, also, Jake, just so you know, Dave and I have both come down with a really nasty bug. We know that you haven't got a very strong immune system. So you just might want to be careful about being in close proximity to us. And it's gonna... Well, thank you for mentioning that fact at the end of us doing the job. not before, you know, not maybe like, maybe we shouldn't ask the guy with a compromised immune system who's just at the third, like maybe not ask him to do this thing. It's like, nah, you know, he'll be fine. So anyway, so I was kind of like, ugh. And what made it even worse is there was a massive pile of cobbles. And when I say cobbles, they're like bricks, but like, again, it's like cobble, you know, like, you know, you've seen bricks. But like bricks, but not made of like brick material, made out of like stone, cobble. And there was this massive pile of stone which needed moving as well. And we're kind of like, we're not doing that tonight. And I'm kind of like, look, when are the damp people coming? They're coming on Friday. I will work it out between then. I'm not doing it tonight. I'm knackered. My back really hurts, but like I'll work that out. I shouldn't have said that. That was a mistake. So anyway, so I'm kind of annoyed because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get ill. Blah 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 blah. The next day, I'm in hospital having a Crohn's treatment. The Crohn's treatment that knocks out my immune system, which is why I have a compromised immune system in the first place. I was a little bit worried about having that right after the 3rd vaccine, but it was like, well, there's nothing I could do about it. It is what it is. You know, it's whatever. I do that. I have to move all these things. Moving all of those wasn't fun, but I moved them all. And then, surprisingly, as a shock to all of you, I've come down with like a really nasty like throat infection / cold combo. So I'm on antibiotics. I'm blowing my nose every 5 minutes. My voice sounds weird. That's kind of why. So yeah, I've been, and I wasn't feeling that great going into the league. I'd been going out a lot, and I'm pretty sure I'd picked up something, like when I was just like going out and hanging out with people and going for drinks or whatever. I was pretty sure I'm pretty sure I was already kind of like on the verge of a thing, and then it's kind of like I just like got every other thing under the sun, every other thing than COVID, thankfully. But yeah, I've just been like collecting a just like walking ailment is basically my situation right now. So I haven't been playing all that much Path of Exile. But one thing that has happened, which is quite exciting, this is my first time playing since they've done the buffs. They've buffed up Scourge as a mechanic to make it more rewarding. It's faster to Scourge maps. They've modified the tiers and what appears on maps and so on and so forth. So that's all very exciting. I said I was gonna fill in these notes, so I guess I'll fill in those notes. So that's interesting. So this is like my first Path of Exile experience. Also worth noting, and I should have opened the video with this because we're now like pretty far into the video, is we have a Bay class Headhunter, by the way, on Monday. So I'm very excited. Monday 10 PM UK. I'll leave a countdown time down below. Very excited to talk to the others and see what they have to say about the league. I know Octavian has had equally frustrating time with the league. He hasn't been able to play as much as he would like to. Oh, my nose. Him, not so much for health reasons, more so for internet reasons. He's with Comcast. He's being absolutely terrible service, and every time I tune into his stream, it's just him screaming, which is quite funny because, like, of all the people on Bay class, you don't expect Octavian to be the one just like raging. And then Nuki's been playing in softcore SSF. Haven't had much of a chance to check in on Ziggy because time zones, but I believe he's been having fun. And Rise, I've been watching a little bit of Rise's stream here and there. Last I checked in, he had died on his RFing quiz, and he was looking at maybe making a Ignite brand build or something. So that seems kind of cool. But one other fun story that I think you'll enjoy that I'm going to leave you with, or depending on how long I want to ramble for, but another thing for you guys to enjoy is while I've been social recently, I've been chatting to old friends and meeting up with people I don't have contact with, and it turns out that someone I know used to actually play loads of RuneScape. And I'm like, oh, dude, that's awesome. I never knew that you used to be like into RuneScape like that. That's sick. And it reminded me of my saddest experience in gaming. For some people, their sad experience in gaming was like the first time they got like scammed, or like when like a guild they were in like disbanded in an MMO. No, mine is a much deeper, more personal, more character building moment, which I'm gonna share with you guys now. I have told the story before on stream, so if you've heard the story, I do apologize. But okay, so this is basically what happened. So when I was in school, I had a small group of friends, and we all used to play RuneScape together. And we were so cool that what we used to do is we would like be sat next to each other in class, and instead of like doing our maths or whatever, we would be doing notes in our maths books. We'd be writing down how many trees we were going to cut down that night, how much each tree was worth, how much we were going to get for selling the amount of trees. Like we mathed out, like, okay, we can fish up this many lobsters an hour, the average going price is blank. So like we were still doing maths, right? Just not the, fuck Pythagoras. We were doing economics, right? And we would like come up with strategies like, okay, we know how much these sell for on in RuneScape. There are different servers that you could log into called like worlds. And we knew that like, oh, on this world at this time you could get like 5 more G per item, so we could like flip it, and we used to regularly like flip items between each other and stuff. But anyway, it's beside the by. So we that's what we used to do. And I remember the Easter holidays were coming up, and I'm like, oh cool, I've got 2 weeks off school. I can't remember, for whatever reason there was meant to be like some kind of event, or there was something happening which meant that my friends couldn't play as much. And I'm like, dude, what I'm gonna do while they're not playing as much, I'm just gonna be going crazy. I'm gonna sleep like 2 hours a night. I was probably like 12 or something. I'm like, I'm gonna get like 2-3 hours sleep a night, and I'm just gonna do 20-hour grinding. If you played RuneScape back in the early 2000s, you'll remember stuff like the Aram set, the whips, Ancient Magic, I believe it was called. You had to do like the Desert Magic quest line, which was like this really long quest chain. It required having loads of really obscure stats, like agility at like 56 or 60 or whatever it was, I can't remember. The Regicide quest that you had to do, that was such a cool quest line to get the Dragon Halberd. Anyway, there was all these like really obscure long things that none of my mates had done, because we were all like pretty trash. Like we played a lot, and we mostly like played for the economy. And it's like, we thought we were a big deal because we had like 60 attack or something. Like that's kind of like the level we were at. And I'm like, screw this. Over this 2-week period, I'm going to knock out all of these quests. I'm going to be like fully decked out in the best possible gear. I'm going to get all of my stats to 70 minimum. Like, I am going to grind. Like, it was like my first like proper like no life moment in a video game. Like, I am going to put in the work. And I took it so serious that I mathed out like exactly how long it would take me, how little I would have to sleep, and I knew that like if I was dedicated and I was committed to having like 2.5 weeks of school and just never leaving my PC, that I could reach my goals. And the main thing that motivated me through this whole thing wasn't so much the fact that, ooh, that's pretty good. Wasn't so much the fact that like it's cool, right? Because like that's what's cool to like a 12-year-old. It's like, no, it's going to be the reaction on my friends' faces when I turn up to school on Monday, and I can just be like, dude, I can just like flex, like, because I was like, oh, it's going to be so sick. Like, they're going to lose their minds at how like insanely cool this is, right? 'Cause, you know, that's what you think about when you're like 12. So I put in the work. I put in the work. I hustled. You know, I didn't sleep. I grinded. I did the thing. I knocked out all the quests. I got all my stats up to 70. I was like pogging out. And like the closer I got to the Monday, the more I realized like this is obtainable. Like I can actually do this. And so I was like sleeping less and less and less. Leading up to the day, and I was like getting so like, oh, they're gonna lose their mind, and I was just like psyching up in my head how these guys are gonna react to seeing how cool my character is, and obviously by extension how cool I am, because you know, if you've got gear in a video game, like if you have a headhunter in Path of Exile, you're cooler than someone who doesn't, right? That's how it works. So anyway, I turn up on Monday and I'm so excited, and it's like we didn't get a chance to talk until like break, so we'd had like 4 classes. I couldn't concentrate on any of my classes. I was just like thinking about like, oh, their face, like it's gonna be like insane when they hear this, and then I can back up when I play that night and we all log on together. It's gonna be so cool, right? So in break, they run over to me and they're both really hyped and they're really excited. And I'm like, oh, why are these guys so excited? But I was like, we'll let them tell their good news, right? Like, we'll let them like, and then I'm going to hit them with, was that actually quite a good shield? Oh, it's a decent shield. And then I'm going to hit them with like the real shit, right? So it's like, look, let's let these peasants, you know, let's let these, you know, peasants sort of get through what they want to get through kind of thing. And, no, they're talking and like, hey, Jake. They also used to call me Jake for some reason. I don't know why. Like, hey, Jake. And I'm like, yeah, what? And they're like, we found this sick new video game. And I'm like, what? Yeah, this amazing new video game. It's what we've been playing all holiday. And I'm like, what? Like, yeah, it's really cool. You'll love it. And I'm like, but RuneScape? Like, nah, RuneScape, that's an old guess trash. No, you need to play this new game. And I'm like, but RuneScape, like, yeah, it's called World of Warcraft. I'm like, but RuneScape's a cool game. So they didn't care. So after they spent like 30 minutes describing World of Warcraft to me, and I'm just like holding back the anguish and the turmoil, I'm like, oh, but like, do you want to see my character? They're like, no, we don't care. Like, we're never playing that game ever again. Trash game. Graphics are awful. World of Warcraft. And I'm just like, you have to play it. And I refused to play it for like 2 months. I just spent 2 months just sulking. And I'll just log in every night to RuneScape and not have any friends to play with and just be like, my character's cool. They just quit because like they could. So eventually I tried out World of Warcraft and it was like the coolest thing I'd ever played. But I couldn't tell them that. So like I kept playing for like a month after. And was just like, yeah, I mean, I guess it's okay. I mean, it's no RuneScape, but like, I guess it's okay. But like, I completely lost my, like, I lost my mind. I remember the first time because I never played a game like it before. It was like the first time I logged in, my first character was a Tauren Hunter. And I saw Mulgore. To me, Mulgore was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in a video game, which is hilarious because I know you played like back in Classic and BC, like Mulgore, really? Just like an empty green field. But to me, I was like, oh my god, like this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. But I had to be like, yeah, it's okay. So it's not that good. But yeah, so then yeah. I've never quite recovered from that emotional turmoil. You can see it still, you know, cuts me deep. But I thought you guys would appreciate that. And it was like, but I'd completely forgotten about that until a couple of days ago. And yeah, the thing which is kind of funny about it now, though, is so one of those friends doesn't play games at all now. And the other one does still play World of Warcraft. He plays World of Warcraft Classic. But the friend who's playing WoW now, he got really back into RuneScape for a while. And I was just like, oh, RuneScape's cool now, isn't it? Like, But my other friend, who doesn't play any games at all now, he's got a kid, and that's weird. So I mentioned in a recent video there was this whole school reunion thing, and it was actually quite positive because I got back in touch with people I want to have contact with. But that was one of the weirdest things, is my mate now has a 1-year-old kid, and it's kind of like, you have a kid? You have a child that you are raising with your opinions? Okay. All right. If that's the thing that we're doing. I mean, to be fair, he seems like he's mellowed out a bit, but it's kind of like, you know, when you have like all of your friends in school. Insert. I can read the YouTube comment now. Tarke flexing. Oh, all of your friends. All two. I had 2 friends, right? But like, you know, when you meet, and there's some people just like, they shouldn't have kids, or like, they'll be the last person you would ever expect. They're like, oh yeah, no, I've been with my partner for like 5 years. We got a kid. And I'm just like, you? A kid? But on the plus side, this is the ailment one, right? These are cool, those gloves. I like those. On the plus side, that kid will eventually grow up. And he'll get really into whatever video games people are playing in like 10, 15 years' time. I know, Fortnite 2. And he'll have a moment of being really excited to tell his friends about something. And they won't give a shit. Because it all comes full circle. They won't care. And that makes me happy. Knowing that his child will feel the pain and the anguish that I did. And with that, I'm Tarke. Have a good day. If you can be bothered, let me know about your harrowing video game experiences, by the way. Bye-bye.